My name is Troy, and welcome to Facility D20. So it's just occurred to me that I haven't had a successful bench test yet. I made all of this and I didn't even test to see if it was going to work. So I just hooked this one together right quickly and let's give it a try. Over 300 hours of printing, over 3 rolls of filament spanned across 3 weeks. This has definitely been my most ambitious print to date. However, this wall is going to be an amazing centerpiece to an epic 40k terrain table. Now, let's rewind it back and see how we got to this point. First thing I did was look for some inspiration for this project. So I hit Google and started looking for some 40k defense walls. Found some real cool artwork that helped me get going, but there was also this movie that I remembered that was super inspirational. So with these concepts in mind, I set out to do some designing. I want to have a basic design done before I started in Blender, just to wrap my mind around what I wanted to do. So here I just started to set some basic geometry, some dimensions, get a rough idea what the size would be, and kind of what the major components would be. I decided that I was going to do this thing modular at this point, and I needed to build at least 3 major sections. The bottom and upper part of the walls, which would be able to move, and also a tower, which would be able to connect it all together. So I thought I was going to add some basic armor plates and not do the whole skull thing, kind of keep it more of an Imperial Guard sort of look. One of the most important things I had to do was measure up these syringes that I got to make sure that the pieces that I needed to make these hydraulics work would fit with the syringes that I bought. Once that was ready to go, I set out to go designing. Now I'm not great in Blender, but this is the basic geometry of how this thing was going to work. I built this little cylinder here, and that was to represent the syringe, and you can see the upper and lower sections, the bracket that would hold the syringe, and some little spacers that would help hold the bracket up. So I kept this very simple, and I just used a lot of subdividing faces, deleting faces, adding faces, and scaling faces to kind of make some armor panels on these bottom wall sections. Here you can see I added a couple armor plates on the front and just used the scale to chamfer the edges down to that front face. So guys, if you're interested in these STLs, I got some exciting news. I am going to be starting a Patreon soon, and these STL files, along with anything else that I create, I'm going to put on that Patreon page for sure. I'm really excited about that, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So this section I made a little bit of a mistake, that the upper tower's armor plates were extruding outwards and would not fit if the wall were to raise. So I had to go in, grab all the faces of everything that I extruded, delete it, and basically reproduce it except inset it into the tower. That way when the wall section rose up, it wouldn't be in the way. Here you can see the tower start to come together. So guys, this thing took me at least 2 weeks to draft, but I only spent about an hour at it a day because I was just super busy with everything else. So I picked away at it until it was done. And it was fun because I got to learn a lot more about Blender, and I don't get a lot of practice with it. So here I decided to make some top sections for the towers. I also wanted these things to be modular too. So stick around at the end of this video so you can see what these things look like alone by themselves without the walls or the towers. And I just done the basic concept of extruding faces or intruding faces and scaling things to just add a lot of details. And I also made this like little control module which was meant to also hold the syringe. Inset it in the back of the wall so it would have somewhere to consistently clip in so I could keep everything at the same height. I made some ladders and put a door in the tower. put a little hatch on the roof. Also made this little cap here to set like sort of like a drone sensor thing to put on the top of the syringe. And the idea that the syringe was going to fit into this piece. Printed up a few test pieces right away because these were critical components, and you can see here the little sensor fit perfectly on the top, but there was a little bit of a problem with my drafting and the hole didn't go all the way through for some reason, so I had to go in and fix that. But I also miscalculated this a bit and it was a little bit too short, so I went back in the blender, pulled up those faces and made the syringe fit. Then I got into the painstaking process of printing. So I use Ultimaker Cura, and my settings were pretty basic draft quality settings, 0.2mm with a 10% infill, and every piece could be printed without supports except for the syringe holder. Well, I'm cutting it close on filament again. You can see I've already changed it once. Gotta change it again now. And I'm at 85% complete. I actually hate changing the filament because I'm always nervous I'm going to mess it up. As you can see, I don't have a lot to work with, just a whole bunch of half rolls. I think I'm going to use the gray because it's the best I can do. What we got to do here is be very careful that we pause the print and not stop it. When you load filament, you want to make sure that it's not twisted around on the roll so it ties a knot and messes up on you. Okay, the color's clear to gray. You want to pick it off to make sure there's nothing oozing out of the nozzle here. It's just going to leave a lump on your print. Back down and very carefully resume print. And we just want to make sure that it's laying down correctly. Very hard to see, but I think we're good. Hopefully that's enough filament to finish. My order from 3D Printing Canada just showed up just in time because I'm running out of filament. This represents the last of the purple and I just got scraps left. Now let's see. I picked up a whole bunch of filament here so I can not only finish this project but a bunch of other projects. If you're liking this video, hit that like button. It's super helpful for small channels. Drop a comment below too and let me know what you think of this build. That should at least get me through this one. So guys, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel. I'm really excited about the growth of this community. It's super fun to have all you guys interacting with me and really motivational for me to go out and try to make the best videos I can, the best content I can. And I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and come on over and join me. So we're back, and with all the printing done, it's time to start priming. Now, I ran into only 3 real print failures. This one, there was a power bump and it stopped halfway through. This one, the filament looped around itself and tied a knot and snapped. And this one, I misjudged when it was time to change the filament and I ran out. Besides for that, man, for 300 plus hours of printing, this went super smooth. Let's get it out in the other part of the facility and prime it up. That's a hell of a lot of priming. Better get at it. So at this point, guys, I was actually weeks into this project, and like my passion wasn't declining for the project, but man, my patience was declining. So I decided to just give this thing a super fast, simple, easy paint job, which I basically did by dry brushing on some forest green of some acrylic paints and just overbrushed it like really heavily. And when it dried up, it was pretty subtle and just looked like some contrasting colors in the green, as you can see here. I then went in with some of this silver from Vallejo, and this is an awesome silver, and I just done a heavy dry brush on it, especially on these top pieces, which would have been all walked over by the troops. See what it looks like here on the tower. And then the final thing I did was just hit it with this huge ass random mixture of this black wash. Now this is Windex, water, Mod Podge, and black acrylic paint all just mixed together. I just washed this whole thing with it. Then I decided, damn, I better make some of these hydraulics to see if it worked. So it just occurred to me that I haven't had a successful bench test yet. I made all of this and I didn't even test to see if it was going to work. So I just hooked this one together right quickly and let's give it a try.
You know, it's just occurred to me we really haven't had a completely successful test of this equipment.
I blame myself.
So do I. Well, no sense worrying about it now.
I don't know what I was worried about. Works like a charm. Then I got to assembling. This syringe is the inner syringe that's going to fit in the bottom part of the wall. Glued it into the bracket and place it in the bottom section of the wall. You can see here I already glued on the ladder and the syringe holder on the outside. These blocks are meant to help hold that bracket in place. Then it was just a matter of feeding the tube into place and adding the second syringe. Then I took the upper part of the syringe and placed it in the upper part of the wall. Then it was time to mix up some water. I added some food coloring to give it that hydraulic fluid look. And then decided to try to test it out. So I filled up one of the syringes with the fluid. And let's see if you can catch my mistake here. Yeah, so you can catch more great content like that over on my OnlyFans page. So yeah, I had nowhere for that air to go. I just exploded the cylinder, so I figured out what I did wrong and filled it back up. Added the little sensor to the top. And then the first time I tested it, it was a little rocky, so I added these zip ties and just slipped these down here just to kind of make more friction as the wall would move up and down. And that did the trick and made the movement a lot more smoother, so I was super happy with that. Looks pretty good. So here is the wall all assembled. Pretty imposing on the battlefield when you put it all there. I really like how it all stacks up together and fits together. The hydraulics on the back work super good and it looks really cool, and it's kind of really fun to actually use it. You can see here I properly bled the cylinder so they're completely full of the fluid. And that's some smooth action right there on those walls. So fully assembled like this thing is actually super massive on the table. And you can make it as big as you want it to print. But the really cool part about this is just how modular this actually is. So taking the time to make this thing modular was like a good idea, because now I got way more versatile terrain piece. You can see here the biggest idea that I wanted to do with it is I wanted this thing to all go together and make a fort. So So I made sure when I drafted it up that this was possible. That's what I had in mind, and that's why I printed these many pieces exactly. I actually really like it as a fort. I think I'll use it more as a fort than a wall. Even the towers can act as standalone guard towers as some line of sight blocking terrain. So if you just want to use the towers, it's pretty cool looking towers here. And also you can take tops off the towers and put them together or use them individually as just like some simple barricades. Some nice scatter terrain. And of course the wall can be configured pretty much in multiple different ways, however you really want to do it. 90-degree turns, ins and outs. You can just stack all the wall sections together and just use minimal towers or no towers. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check out some of the other videos I got linked right here.